Good morning. Again, don't mind how I look. It's like, you guys really aren't going to get much of me with my hair done and my face done. And then you see I'm turning into fucking Rudolph over here. But, so last night, I was on a friend of mine's live on TikTok. And her and I, well, I should say not her and I, but my journey just started recently on like YouTube and TikTok and discussing, bipolar disorder and the pros and the cons and everything that come along with it. And you guys always hear me talk about being bipolar. I always talk about being bipolar, but it's always one-sided. It always comes from me because clearly I'm the one going through it. But no one really talks about partners and what they go through and what they have to deal with. So last night, I had my husband write down kind of like a pros and cons list of what he has to deal with. And I told him to be 100% raw with it. I think he was being a little nice. But I love him. He's so funny. So he pretty much said that the cons are the fact that there are some days where he doesn't know which Ashley he's dealing with. My level of mood swings, which just goes into the manic and the depression, and like my random bursts of anger, which happen. I get those. Like, for no reason, out of nowhere, I'll get angry for who knows what reason. But then a con to that is also, like, my burst of, like, energy. And I'll clean, and it won't... But I'm talking, like... I mean, I clean every day. But this is talking, like, massive. Like, it'll be fucking, like, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, ooh! Let's deep clean the whole entire house. But then, like, I won't finish, like, what I set out to do. So I'll start one room, but then I'll get to, like, and I'll move on to another room, and then I'll move on to another one. And by the end of the day, it's, like, a bigger mess because I never sat down and finished the one room that I was working on. Which he's right about. And I wish I knew why I did those things. I don't really, like, I can't really put a finger on it of why I do that. It's just part of who I am. It's been a part of who I am. The cleaning, I don't know. Like, I was raised in an OCD household, so there were specific things that needed to be done. And, like, the extensive cleaning list, like, every day I had to scrub the kitchen and bathroom floors on my hands and knees. So it's, like, things like that I don't do anymore. And it's, like, I don't know. It's hard because it's, like, granted, I grew up with some good tendencies and, like, the OCD with cleaning and everything. But at the same time, it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, I'm still battling myself to not turn out to be like my parents. And I have to disassociate with thinking and telling myself, like, just because I got some of those tendencies from my parents doesn't mean that I am my parents, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to turn out to be like my parents. That's hard. But he likes my pros. My pros are good. I'm a big kid at heart. Like last night we were we were making dinner. Well, I was making dinner and my husband was in the kitchen, and we were having Swedish meatballs, and we didn't have like normal noodles. We just had fettuccine noodles. And everyone says that the trick to know when your noodle is done is to throw it at the wall and see if it sticks. Well, I just started chucking the noodle at the microwave thinking it was gonna stick. So my husband comes in and I like grab a noodle and I make him try it. Well, then he takes the noodle and he hits me upside the head with like on my forehead with the noodle. And I wasn't mad. I'm not going to get mad about, you know, something like that. Like, I'm a big kid at heart. I love the simple things in life and the simple joys of life. It just sometimes takes me a lot longer to realize the simple things in my life and to let myself feel those things. But he did mention one major key that I'm glad he talked about, and the one thing is he knows that no matter what we go through and no matter when we fight and we argue, he knows that at the end of the day that I love him more than anything in this world. And I do. I know sometimes it may not seem like it to him, and I know that, you know, he's got to go through the motions of the ocean with me and how I am, and we've come to a point in our relationship where I'm very raw and I'm very honest with how I'm feeling. It wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, a good year or two ago, it would be to the point where I didn't want to let him in and I didn't want to tell him about these things because I didn't know why I was acting like this. So it's hard to have a conversation with somebody that you love and somebody that's close to you when you don't even know why you feel like this. But part of my problem is I'm very blunt and I am very raw, and sometimes that can cause a little bit of friction between us, and I always make sure I don't make excuses for my actions, but I do apologize for them, because there are, and I will tell a lot of people this, and a lot of people do know this, I am not one to hold anything back. I don't have a normal filter. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Hey, God. Not enough coffee yet. But my whole entire family knows this. Everyone who is around me knows this. They know that I am brutally honest. I don't sugarcoat anything. Like, if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm going to let you know how I'm feeling. If you've upset me, I'm going to let you know exactly why you upset me, or why I'm upset, or why I'm feeling some type of way. I didn't grow up with people telling me that it was going to be okay and sugarcoating stuff, so I don't sugarcoat anything for anyone else, nor should I have to. Part of growing up and building a relationship with somebody or anyone. Hi.
Hello.
I love you.
I love you too.
You'll be good. I'll be done in a minute. I love you.
What?
He's so sweet. No, what? It's too early for ice cream.
Pepsi?
No.
Hard?
Goodbye. Never a dull moment with him around. Anyways, I will tell you one thing that I've learned over the process of the last couple of years. Lay down, little girl. Lay down. Talking to my dog. You can see her. there's a ham bone that she dug out of the garbage. So she hid it on herself, and now she keeps finding it. She keeps eating it. Anyways, communication is key in all aspects of every single relationship. A friendship, a mother-daughter relationship, a father-daughter, father-son, son-son, whatever. Like, even with my kids, communication is key. And you need to start letting people feel those types of emotions and to express their emotions, because if you don't, you're going to grow up with kids who don't know how to express anything. And I'm not okay with that. Kids are not robots. People are not robots. We're all human. We all feel certain ways about things, and we can't help that. It's just how we feel. It's human life. I can't discredit you for you feeling how you're feeling about a type of situation, just like you shouldn't discredit me for how I feel. But at the same time, we need to be adults about this situation, and we need to be able to sit down and to discuss it like adults. But here's where we go wrong. Too many people in this world are taking everything so personal, and it's like, oh, well, you don't like me then? Or, oh, you're feeling this type of way. Why? What? Like, part of my problem is I always take, even though I know this isn't how things are, but I'm a very jealous person. And I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying I know I'm a jealous person. If my family, there is a lot of us, okay? Like, I am an only child, minus the fact that I have a brother out there somewhere from my dad's side, but no, we don't have the remote. Okay, I'm busy right now. You can wait. Sorry. I grew up with 6 of my cousins in the same house. It literally was my grandpa, my grandma, my 2 uncles, my 1 uncle's wife, their 6 kids, me, my mom, and then there was always other random people. So together, all together, growing up until I was 9, there was at least 13 to 15 people in our house all the time. Like, we grew up as a very close-knit family. We did everything together. We went to school together. We played together. We bathed together. We ate together. We went to sleep together. Like, we were very close. And then my mom moved out, and that caused a rift between our family, and we kind of all separated for a while. And then I got put into foster care, which made a bigger rift between my family, because my aunt and my grandma and my grandpa and my uncle were all trying to get me back. But due to their life and their things going on, for some reason the courts wouldn't let them, but whatever, it is what it is. So when I turned 16 and I got out of my foster care placements and I got into where I needed to be, I was able to have more contact with them. And I've always been close with them. They've always been like sisters to me. So now, unfortunately, with family things and how everything is, there's only There's only 5 of us that still talk to each other. Really, there's 4, because Matthew, one of my cousins, is overseas, stationed in Japan. He's a Marine. He's been over there for a couple years now, so we don't really get to see him much, but we still play a very active part in his life. We still send him things. We talk to him as much as we can. My boys love him. Aiden and him are best friends. But I get jealous, especially because we all don't live close together anymore. 2 of my cousins live downriver. One of my cousins live in Detroit. I'm in Redford. So we're at least anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes away from each other. So it makes it harder now because 3 out of the 4 of us, or 5 of us, have kids and full-time jobs and significant others. So it's like we don't always have the time to be with each other. Now, my thing is, I'm a homebody. I don't like to go to other people's houses. I like to be at my house. And I do understand that it is not always about me and what I want and when I want it. I do know that part of being in healthy relationships, even with family, is that it's one of those tit for tat type of things. If someone's willing to come to you, you have to also be willing to go to them. Now, that is another issue that I've been trying to work on. But sometimes it seems to me, not saying it's always like this, but there are some times where one cousin will hang out with the other cousin and leave the rest of us in the dust. And it's not, I take it personal because I just feel like everybody hates me or people don't want to deal with me, which I know is not true. I know deep down inside my heart that I know that's not true, but I still can't help the way I feel. It's the same way when I hear my best friend going and hanging out with other people. Like, bitch, no. You are my best friend. She's allowed to have other friends. I know that 110%. So I don't get mad. I try, to just, it is what it is. My husband does put up with a lot, though, y'all. Like, that man, he should win an award. Because I swear to you, some days I hate myself. Some days I'll be so cranky. I'll be like, bitch, why are you like this? What? There's no reason for it. Which there really is no reason for it. This man has given me anything and everything I have completely asked for or wanted in the last 7 years. And I'm still a big-ass brat. He put a ring on it, so he knew what he was getting into. There was no secrets. Like, I want to say by month 3 or 4, I've laid everything of my skeletons out and was like, listen, you want to be like or with this? This is exactly what you're going to get. There's no in between, no whatever. It also didn't help that when we got together, we didn't know I was bipolar. That's one piece of hair, man. It's like, we didn't know I was bipolar. We kind of knew something was going on, but we didn't really know, like, too much about it until okay, so we're gonna we're gonna talk about this and why we found out I was bipolar. But I'm gonna give you guys a disclaimer. My husband fucked up. I've moved past it. We've moved on. We have worked together on our issues. He is still a wonderful man. He is still a damn good father. I don't want anyone to talk to him about this and to give their opinion, because you know what? I don't give a fuck. It's not up to any of you to voice your opinion on what he did. Yes, he knows what he did was wrong. We fixed it. We worked on it. And here we are, X amount of years later. And I still choose to love him. Why? Because the day we got married, we made vows to each other. And there is no sense on somebody digging up our past and talking about it and saying anything about it to him when he already went through and has felt like a shit person. So the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is a part of the journey of how we found out I was bipolar and how we decided to make things worse. So, for the love of God, if any of you, and I find out any of you go back to my husband and go, oh, you're such a piece of shit for what you did to her, I will come for you. Because that's my husband. And I love my husband. And I'm the only one in this world that can be mad at him for what he did. Okay? Now that we have that out of the way. Sam and I got married August of 2016. We had been together for almost 2 years at that point. And yeah, we decided to get married. Four months later, he decided to go outside of our marriage and was sexting his ex-girlfriend. Now, it did not start out like that. It was just an innocent conversation about work, and then I don't know what happened. I don't want to know the details. I know just enough to need to know what I need to know, but the significance of what he was doing was the day that I lost my godfather, the day that my godfather passed was New Year's Eve. Well, New Year's Day, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. Everyone had just left my house. We had just gone to lay in bed and to settle down for the night, and I get a phone call from my uncle. And yeah. What? I told you when I'm done, I will come in.
It's been an hour and 20.
It has not been an hour. It's been... That's a whole other story. Let's not talk about that one. Anyways. I didn't find out that night about what my husband was doing. I found out the next day. Many of you don't know this, but I am the one who planned my godfather's funeral. I made all the plans, all the arrangements. I was his power of attorney. He made 6 months before our wedding, he was rushed to the hospital for AFib, and he was in there for 2 weeks. And I remember getting a phone call from him one day. Sorry. I remember getting a phone call from him one day while he was in the hospital, and he said, I need you to come visit me soon, so I need something, or I need you to do something for me, and I want to talk to you about it. And I said, okay, not thinking anything of it. So the next day I go down there, I visit him in the hospital, and he had a stack of forms that he needed my signature on. He chose me to be his power of attorney when it came to anything medical, because he knew that I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot of trauma, so I don't process things like a normal person would. I am very logical. I not easily, like, now I'm crying because it still upsets me, and I still miss him, and I feel like we should have had more time with him, but that's besides the point. But he knew in his heart that he was doing the right thing by making me his power of attorney, because he knew that if anything were to go wrong, I would be the one who would make the right decision in the moment. Everybody else would be too sad and too heartbroken and wouldn't think about the best case scenario. So that was hard. Up until that day, I never thought I'd have to go to a funeral home and pick out a casket and the lining of a casket and his burial plot and his tombstone and the amount of people I had to call. Like, I had to call the insurance company. I had to call all his, like, bills, like, those places. Like, it was 5 years ago. I was 25. I'd never done this in my entire life, ever. It was crazy. It was crazy to me. It was honestly shit crazy. Like, Jesus. But since he passed on New Year's, it took a while for the cops to come and pronounce it. So it was probably around like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning by the time the funeral home finally came and got him and was able to take his body. So I remember going home, trying to lay down, and my husband had left his phone on the charger and it kept going off. Now, me being me, because I'm a nosy bitch, I'm going to look at it, and sure as shit, bing, 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 it popped up, and he was getting a message from some bitch saying, "Good morning, love," or something along the lines of, "Good morning, love, how are you?" or "I miss you." And I'm like, I didn't deal with it that day. I should have, but I had not slept in over 24 hours. I had been, semi-partying the night before, and I was still, there was all this shit going on. So I didn't say anything. And the sad part is, I didn't end up saying anything until 3 days later, because I was still trying to process the death of my godfather. That's the only man besides my husband that has, like, truly stepped up and been a part of my life. He made sure he was there for every game, anything that I was in or that I was doing. I mean, he took me in when I was in an abusive relationship with Chunky's dad. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be half of the person that I am today. So it took me a while to even get through processing that, to even process the fact that here I am needing my husband's love and my husband's attention, and he's over here giving it to somebody else. It is what it is. But when I finally sat down with him and we talked about it, I had two options that night. It was to stay in this marriage that I chose to give my all and that I said vows for, or I could have walked away. Now, mind you, we were only 4 months into our marriage. 4 months. It hadn't even, like, the ink on the paper hadn't even dried yet. And I wasn't willing to give up yet. So we decided to go through marriage counseling. And marriage counseling ended up being the best damn thing that we could have ever done for ourselves and together. not even 2 months into marriage counseling. And this lady looked at me and she goes, honey, you have a lot of unresolved issues that you have not dealt with. And then she goes, and I don't want to be mean about it. She goes, but I really think that there's more wrong with you than just what happened. So I started going to therapy on my own. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And then that started my journey on medication. And as shitty as it sounds, which is another thing you guys got to know, like, I'm not saying you have to be medicated to have some type of normal life or normalcy. But getting medicated was one of the best decisions I ever did in my life. Like, I'm able to function properly. Yeah, I still get the anger sometimes, but my depression isn't as bad. I'm not stuck in a rut like for a week or 2 at a time. Now sometimes it's only a couple of days. There are some days where it's harder than others, especially around this time, because I'm still grieving. It's been 4 years and I'm still fucking grieving. But it's taken, I'm on my fourth psychiatrist and my my 7th medication. It takes a long time because your body reacts differently to pretty much everything. So, and be careful though, because those medications that help you sleep, you become so dependent on them. So when you stop taking them or you have no choice, like me, I had no choice to stop taking my medication sometimes because it was a bitch just to get in to see my psychiatrist half the time. And half of these psychiatrists don't give a fuck, and they will make you detox until they can see you again to even write you a new prescription, which that's a whole other case of negligence on their part that I won't even get into right now because, well, I could tell you some stories. But it hasn't been an easy journey. It hasn't been an easy journey. There are still things that I learned from today and that I'm sure I'm going to learn for the rest of my life. But being honest about it and talking about it and making it more known for people to realize it. Like, you never know what somebody else is going through. You never know. Like, I'm good at hiding it. I don't talk about it unless I feel like I need to talk about it. So there are people that know, there are people that don't know. Like strangers though, I'm not just going to walk up to a stranger and be like, hi, I got bipolar disorder, want to be friends? No. But this also goes back into why I say never judge a book by its cover, because you never know what the next person that you're going to interact with is going through. You have no idea what their life has been like. You have no idea how they process things and how their emotions are. So if you choose to talk shit about somebody or to make fun of them about something, just remember that words hurt and the way you say things hurt. So don't say it to other people. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Someone losing their life, or someone who could be on the verge of losing their life, and all it takes is that one person to make a difference in their world. Don't be mean about it, because you never know. You never know. I'm going to hop off here because this kid is driving me crazy and for some reason doesn't remember how to work a remote. So you guys have a good day. And that's my rant.